2009, back when smartphones were becoming the next big thing. Coming back home from school to hop on Modern Warfare 2, and the official arrival of the greatest shooter of all time, one Wardell Stephen Curry. See, I, like most people, sometimes catch that nostalgia feeling. So I wanted to make a retrospective about this draft class and a few of the significant names that we saw get drafted. Some good ones, some bad ones, and some with interesting stories, to say the least. Blake Griffin. In the 2009 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers made their first pick, selecting the high-flying big man Blake Griffin from Oklahoma.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
His career has been nothing short of intriguing. During the Lob City era in LA, which featured stars like CP3, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake, they possessed immense talent, but never managed to reach the conference finals. The year 2015 seemed promising. They convincingly defeated the defending champion Spurs in the first round and even held a 3-1 lead against a young James Harden-led Rockets team in the semifinals, until it all unraveled. CP3 was traded to Houston in 2017, and Blake Griffin found himself with the Pistons before the 2018 trade deadline. In Detroit, Blake had an all-star season in 2019, averaging nearly 25 points per game across 75 games. Unfortunately, injuries took a toll, limiting him to a mere 38 games over his remaining season and a half with the Pistons. While he made stops in Brooklyn and Boston, it's the Clippers-Blake era that remains etched in our memories, especially when he was an MVP candidate alongside Chris Paul. James Harden. Indeed, the 2009 NBA Draft was filled with what-ifs, and James Harden's selection by the Oklahoma City Thunder as the third overall pick stands out.
With the third pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select James Harden.
While he didn't quite reach the superstar status of Stephen Curry, Harden's impact was significant. OKC had assembled a remarkable trio: Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. These three future MVPs were poised to create an NBA dynasty. However, in a surprising turn of events, the Thunder traded Harden to the Houston Rockets just months after their NBA Finals appearance. We all remember Houston Harden, the scoring titles, the insane records, the MVP season, and leading the team that almost took down the mighty Golden State Warriors in 2018. We still take that version of Harden for granted, but unfortunately, a lot of fans forget that Harden because of his recent track record of demanding trades. It ended terribly in Houston, then Brooklyn, then Philly, now he's in LA with the Clippers. But can we say for sure he won't ask out of there too? Tyreke Evans. A lightning-fast player from the 2009 NBA draft class burst out of the scene with remarkable speed. His rookie campaign was nothing short of impressive, placing him in elite company alongside legends like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson, and Luka Doncic. Tyreke achieved the rare feat of averaging at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists during his debut season. However, injuries and early career struggles with his jump shot hindered Tyreke's development. He had stints with various teams: New Orleans, where he played alongside Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday, and a brief stop in Sacramento. But it was in Memphis that he perhaps had his best season, even though he primarily came off the bench, averaging 19 points and 5 assists. In May 2019, Tyreke faced a setback when the NBA banned him for violating the league's anti-drug program while he was with the Indiana Pacers. The ban kept him out of the league until his reinstatement in 2022. Recently, Tyreke had an opportunity to work out with the Golden State Warriors in March 2022, but nothing materialized. Now he patiently awaits that call, hoping to make a comeback to the court. Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio's debut in the NBA was one of the most anticipated debuts ever. After signing his first pro contract at the age of 14, which is what gave him this label as a prodigy and someone that would go on to dominate in the NBA. Even after being drafted, he didn't play in the NBA until 2011, but he played in the Olympics Games for Spain and the World Championships in the summer of 2010, really showing how talented he was on the big stage, making the hype grow even louder. In 2011, he had his first ever NBA game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And while he did have his moments, his debut was far from perfect. He scored just 6 points in a loss, but fast forward to the 2021-22 season, at the age of 31, he was having the best season of his career, putting up 13 points and 6 assists per game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unfortunately, Ricky would tear his ACL, which completely derailed the Cavs season because Rubio was their primary facilitator. Now, Rubio is recovering from his injury, and his production from this past season has dropped significantly, averaging only 5 points and 3 assists. Yeah, injuries suck. DeMar DeRozan. The player drafted after Curry was none other than DeMar DeRozan, selected by the Toronto Raptors. He quickly became the most beloved Toronto superstar ever, in part because he was really good, and there's the fact that he wanted to play his entire career there. Being traded in 2018 sucked for him because he never imagined playing anywhere other than Toronto. He has built a reputation of being one of the best mid-range scorers in the league for the majority of his career. He was traded in that deal that brought Kawhi Leonard to Toronto while DeRozan was sent to San Antonio. But DeMar had quite the resurgence ever since landing in Chicago, having some of the best seasons of his career. Brandon Jennings. Brandon Jennings had an underrated career. In his debut versus the 76ers, he scored 17 points while grabbing 9 rebounds and dishing out 9 assists as well. Everyone remembers that historic game where he put up 55 points in just his 7th NBA game. And keep in mind, he scored 0 points in the first quarter. So, I think I speak for all of us when I say nobody saw that one coming. That 55 points broke the team's record for most points ever scored by a rookie. Yeah, back then, rookies were just casually dropping 50 points. Jennings started all 82 games for the Bucks and led them to their first playoff appearance in 4 years. Even after that impressive rookie season where he finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. After that, the Bucks would repeatedly miss the postseason. As a result, he was bounced around the league from team to team. He did have his moments, but injuries would strike and hold him back from the potential he once had. He would return to the Bucks in 2018, but was later waived. That was the end of his NBA career. All in all, he will always be remembered for being the first high school player to go pro in Europe, so that counts as something. Jrue Holiday. Finally, we stumbled upon someone who's had a better career than most expected. Jrue Holiday's been elite at what he does for a while now. This past season, he was named an All-Star and made an All-Defensive team in the process, officially announcing himself as one of the top two-way talents in the entire league. But weirdly enough, it was just this past 22-23 season that Holiday made another All-Star team. After 10 years of not making it. Yes, the last time Holiday got an All-Star nod was as a youngster in Philly back in 2013. Though you can make a really strong argument he should have made an All-Star team several times in the last handful of seasons. After several successful seasons in Milwaukee, including that championship in 2021, Holiday got sent to Boston and has fit like a glove in Joe Mazzulla's offense from the get-go. Right now, Boston looks like they can be the best offensive and defensive unit in the NBA when they truly want to lock in. And that defensive mentality starts from the man who made all-defensive first team in 2023, Jrue Holiday. Ty Lawson. Due to his height and small stature, Ty Lawson slipped down to the 18th pick. But for those old enough, you know, this man was a problem. Lawson was drafted to Minnesota, but they already had 2 guards, so the Denver Nuggets saw an opportunity to get him, exchanging their future pick for him. Lawson was the backup point guard behind Chauncey Billups until he was traded to New York in 2011. In April, Lawson would become the first player in NBA history to make his first 10 three-point attempts to start a game.
From holding his own NBA record against Ty Lawson, the new NBA record holder,
finishing that game with a career-high 37 points, unheard of at the time. In August of that year, he signed a 1-year contract with a team in Lithuania. The deal included an out clause that allowed him to return to Denver after the lockout. But in 2012, he was back, and Denver finished with a franchise best record of 57-25. In 2013, he would lead them in points, assists, and steals, with Danilo Gallinari being out that year with a torn ACL. In August 2019, he signed a 1-year deal with the Shandong Golden Stars of the Chinese Basketball Association. In 2023, he signed with a team in Venezuela, but on April 4th, he was fired for an internal discipline issue with the team. Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague has had a pretty solid career. Statistically, nothing jumps out to you, but between 2013 and 2016, he averaged over 15 points per game and 7 assists. In 2015, he earned his first All-Star selection as a reserve, which you might remember was one of the 4 members from that Hawks team that was voted an All-Star. Even Kyle Korver. That season, he would leave Atlanta as a first seed and had a great season. All things considered, they just weren't going to beat Bron. And after that, he wouldn't see much success and was moved to the Pacers and later to the Timberwolves from 2017 to 2019. In 2021, he would join the Bucks, which is the year they won the NBA championship, giving him his first. He played in all 6 finals games, averaging 1.5 points per game as Drew Holiday's backup. After that season, Teague left the NBA to go back to Atlanta as a scout for the Hawks, and just a couple of seasons later, he left the NBA altogether to go coach boys basketball in his hometown. Darren Collison. Darren Collison was a highly regarded prospect coming out of UCLA when he was actually seen as the considerably better prospect than even future MVP Russell Westbrook. During his rookie season with the Hornets, he was made the starting point guard with CP3 down and set a new franchise record with 18 assists to go along with his 17 points on January 30th to end the Grizzlies' 11-game home winning streak. Yeah, he was special. He averaged 18 points and 9 assists in the 37 games he started, but he still finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting, with his high turnover rate being the one big knock on him. The following year, he was traded to the Pacers, then eventually traded to the Mavericks. In Dallas, he was named the starting guard after Jason Kidd left in free agency and averaged 12 points and 5 assists in just under 30 minutes per night, but he returned to peak level when he played for the Kings, who signed him to a 3-year, $16 million deal. After putting up 16 and 5 in his first year, he started to decline some in his play, though still a valuable role player. He eventually returned to the Pacers as a solid two-way guard who shot over 40% from 3, but unexpectedly, he would announce his retirement in 2019. However, he would come out of retirement in 2021 to play for the Lakers, reuniting with his college teammate Russ, but only played in 3 games. In 2022, he signed with the South Bay Lakers. But his NBA return still isn't out of the cards, as he's still out there as a free agent, working out with some teams and hoping to land another contract. Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson was instantly a fan favorite in just his rookie season for his high energy and great defense, and in his first 7 years with the Bulls, he was a very important piece on those D. Rose-led Bulls teams that were this close a couple of times to an NBA Finals appearance. Gibson was someone who could grab boards and D you up on the other end. In 2011, he helped his team take a 3-2 lead versus the Hawks in the Eastern Conference semifinals, scoring all his 11 points in the fourth quarter. During the 2013-14 season, he had a major bench role, averaging 13 and 6, and finished second in the 6th MOTY voting, only behind Jamal Crawford. In 2017, he was traded to OKC and ended up signing with the Timberwolves that following offseason. In the summer of 2019, he signed with the Knicks, then he was eventually waived, re-signed, then waived again. His career was slowly coming to an end, though he played more than a solid NBA career, last playing with Washington just this past season. DeMarre Carroll. DeMarre Carroll was the definition of a solid NBA pro. He played for 9 different teams in his 11 seasons in the NBA. He was solid, with his peak around 2017 with the Brooklyn Nets, when he averaged 13 and 6 while shooting 37% from 3. In 2019, he was waived by the Spurs and signed with the Houston Rockets in 2020, making his last year in the NBA. Nowadays, he's sitting on Milwaukee's bench as an assistant. Unfortunately, for many of these teams, they let the greatest shooter ever slip out of their hands. But what are your opinions on the 2009 NBA draft? And why do you think 6 teams said no to Steph?